A drunk man pulled a gun on McQueen's wife. What Steve did in 15 seconds broke him. 200 people watched Steve McQueen's wife get grabbed by a drunk stranger. 200 people saw the man pull a .38 revolver when McQueen stepped in. 200 people held their breath as the gun pressed against McQueen's chest. But only those 200 people know how the King of Cool disarmed that weapon and put a 240-pound Korean War veteran on the ground in 15 seconds. The man's name was Frank Dalton, 34 years old, 6'2", 240 pounds of solid muscle, former Marine, 3 tours in Korea, 14 months of uninterrupted frontline duty, 2 Bronze Stars, 1 Purple Heart, discharged as sergeant, served as close combat instructor, knife defense, pistol disarmament, bare-handed killing techniques, trained over 200 soldiers. His hands had ended lives, in frozen foxholes, in midnight ambushes, in hand-to-hand combat where the winner walked away and the loser didn't. A man who knew exactly how to kill and had done it more times than he could count. And tonight, he was at the Whisky a Go-Go with a .38 Smith & Wesson tucked under his jacket, loaded, 5 rounds, every one of them capable of ending a life. Nobody knew what was about to happen. Last Saturday night of March, Los Angeles, heart of the Sunset Strip, Whisky a Go-Go, the city's most famous nightclub. The Doors were discovered here. Janis Joplin performed here. Every night brought rock stars, movie stars, record label executives. Steve McQueen and his wife Neil were celebrating their 12th wedding anniversary. McQueen was 37, climbing to the peak of his career. The Thomas Crown Affair had just premiered. Bullet was in post-production, set to release in a few months, and turn him into a legend. He was months away from becoming Hollywood's highest-paid actor, $1 million per film. Neil Adams McQueen, 35 years old, former Broadway dancer, original cast of West Side Story. They had 2 kids, Terry, 9, and Chad, 7. Tonight the kids were with a babysitter. Past 11 p.m. Club packed tight, 300 people crammed into a space meant for 250. Air thick with cigarette smoke and sweat. Music blasting. McQueen and Neil in the back corner. VIP section. Champagne. Candles. Frank Dalton sat at the bar. 5th whiskey. Eyes scanning the room. Looking for anger. Looking for a reason. And he saw Neil. Dalton got up from the bar. Walk unsteady but determined. 240 pounds of muscle cutting through the crowd. People he shouldered past glared but nobody tried to stop him. McQueen spotted him. Large shadow emerging from the crowd, heading toward VIP. His instincts screamed. He'd felt danger like this for years. On racetracks, on film sets, on the streets where he grew up. Dalton entered the VIP section. Didn't even look at McQueen. Went straight for Neil. Grabbed her arm. Hard. Fingers digging into flesh. Dance with me, sweetheart. Neil tried to pull away. Dalton wouldn't let go. Squeezed harder. Neil winced in pain. McQueen shot to his feet. His chair toppled backward, crashing to the floor. Get your hand off my wife. Dalton turned. Looked McQueen up and down. Expensive suit. Silk tie. Manicured hands. Recognition. Then contempt. Steve McQueen. Big movie star. Dalton shoved Neil. She fell back into her chair. You look real tough on screen, McQueen. Playing cowboys. Playing cops, playing tough guys. Stepped closer, 2 inches from McQueen's face, whiskey breath washing over him. You tough in real life too, or only when the camera's rolling? McQueen didn't answer, eyes on Dalton's hands. Watching, Dalton grinned. I spent 14 months on the front line in Korea, trained over 200 soldiers in close combat, knife defense, pistol disarmament, killed men with my bare hands, McQueen. Real war, real enemy. Reached under his jacket. What did you do? Threw fake punches, held fake guns, fake died with fake blood. The .38 Smith & Wesson came out. Barrel swung toward McQueen's chest. Music still playing. Nobody heard it anymore. 200 people froze. 200 breaths stopped. Other tables in VIP noticed. Someone screamed. Someone dove under a table. Panic spreading but nobody could move. Neil behind McQueen. Hand over her mouth. Shaking. Dalton's eyes wild. Mix of drunken rage. Hollywood's golden boy. Everybody's darling. Ends with 1 bullet. McQueen. Just 1 bullet. Tomorrow the papers put your pretty face on the front page. Tragic end. Movie star shot in nightclub. Nice headline. Finger on the trigger. Security noticed. 3 men. But they couldn't move. Gun too close to McQueen. 1 wrong move. 1 bullet. Couldn't risk it. Police called but at least 8 minutes away. McQueen didn't have 8 minutes. McQueen had 15 seconds. Nobody knew what McQueen had learned from Bruce Lee. Nobody knew he'd been taking private lessons 3 days a week since 1966. Nobody knew Lee had taught him pistol disarmament techniques. Lee's garage, Los Angeles, an ordinary-looking house in Bel Air. From outside, just a family home with a gardener. Inside, a dojo, heavy bag hanging from the ceiling. Wooden dummy in the corner for Wing Chun training. Mirrors on the walls to see every angle. When McQueen first came, Lee had asked, "Why do you want to learn?" "Because movies are lies. I don't know what I'd do in a real fight." Lee had smiled. "Honest answer. Most people say for self-defense. You told the truth. First month was just basics. Stance, balance, breathing, boring stuff." McQueen got impatient. "When do we learn real fighting?" Lee answered, "Building collapses without solid foundation. Patience. Second month, strikes, jab, cross, hook, but not like boxing. Shorter range, faster, less telegraph. Third month, kick combinations, low kick, side kick." McQueen's legs locked up in pain after every session. Fourth month, clinch and control, close range, elbows, knees, chokes. McQueen put Lee in trouble for the first time, using his weight advantage. Lee was impressed. "Good, you're learning to use your strength." Fifth and sixth month, weapon defense. Lee had taught McQueen, best defense against a gun is running. What if you can't run? Your only chance is distance. If the barrel's touching you, or very close, then you have a chance. Practice with plastic guns, then empty real guns. Hundreds of repetitions. Don't look at the barrel, look at the eyes, look at the trigger finger. There's a split-second pause before firing. Muscles tense, breathing changes. See that moment, catch that moment. And the most critical lesson, don't stop after disarming. The man is still a threat. Neutralize him, completely, until he can't get back up. Now McQueen looked into Dalton's eyes, watched the trigger finger. Dalton was talking, throwing threats, but his finger was loose, hadn't decided yet, enjoying himself, drawing out the moment, savoring the power. That was a mistake. McQueen waited. "What's the matter, McQueen? Scared?" "You weren't scared on set. Everyone protects you there. Nobody's protecting you here." Dalton raised the gun, pointed at McQueen's forehead, 5 inches between barrel and skin. Last words. And there it was. Dalton's finger moved toward the trigger, muscles tensing, breath holding, decision made. McQueen moved, left hand shot up, palm closed over the top of the gun, shoved the barrel left, away from his face. Same millisecond, right hand grabbed Dalton's wrist, grip point critical, just above the wrist bone, where the nerve cluster sits. Lee had shown this hundreds of times. Dalton pulled the trigger, gun fired, deafening blast, gunpowder smell, smoke. Bullet passed 2 inches from McQueen's left ear, slammed into the wall behind. Plaster chunks sprayed into the air. 200 people screaming, panic, chairs toppling, glass breaking. But McQueen didn't stop, twisted the wrist, out and down. The angle Lee taught, 45 degrees, against the natural movement of the wrist joint. Dalton's fingers opened, reflex, involuntary, nerve pressure. Gun dropped to the floor, metal and wood hitting hardwood. 1 second, Dalton threw a right cross. 240 pounds of muscle behind it, aiming for McQueen's jaw. He'd killed men with this punch in Korea. McQueen stepped inside, under the punch, pressed against Dalton's chest. Clinch range. Dalton's arm length now a disadvantage. Couldn't throw punches at this distance. Left elbow drove into Dalton's liver. Hard, sharp, dry thud. Bone hitting soft tissue. Dalton's breath cut off. Mouth opened. No sound. Diaphragm spasm. Lungs emptying but not filling. 2 seconds. McQueen's right palm struck Dalton's chin. Palm strike from below. Heel of palm hitting jawbone. Head snapping backward. Neck muscles straining. Dalton staggered. Stumbled back. Hit the table. Champagne bottles crashing. Glasses shattering. Someone screaming. 3 seconds. Dalton tried to straighten up. Hand reaching for the table. Looking for support. Blood on his lip. Eyes unfocused. Still dangerous. A wounded animal is the most dangerous kind. McQueen didn't let him recover. Right leg swept Dalton's back knee. Low kick. Outer edge of the heel. Against the natural bend of the knee. Dalton's left knee buckled. Ligaments straining. 240 pounds couldn't stay up on one leg. Dalton went down. Face first. Arms splayed. Hit the floor. 4 seconds. Dalton tried using his arms. Tried to push up. Face showing mix of rage and confusion. McQueen dropped his left knee onto Dalton's back. Right on the spine. Put his weight on it. Dalton's chest pressed flat against the floor. Couldn't breathe properly. Left hand grabbed Dalton's right wrist. Pulled the arm back. Bent it up. Shoulder lock. Kimura position. 5 seconds. Don't move. Dalton moved. Tried to break free. Left hand slapping the floor. Legs thrashing. McQueen bent the arm more. Shoulder joint approaching its limit. Little more. It pops. Dalton screamed. Pain. Pure animal pain. 6 seconds. I said don't move. Dalton stopped. Breathing hard. Face pressed against the floor. Spit and sweat dripping from his mouth. Eyes open. Staring at the ceiling. Shock. 240 pounds. 14 months on the front line. Close combat instructor for 200 soldiers. On the ground in 15 seconds. 200 people watched in silence. Music had stopped. DJ's hand frozen on the record. Neil behind the table. Eyes wide open. Holding the stem of a champagne glass. The bowl had broken sometime. She couldn't remember when. McQueen on Dalton's back. Calm. Breathing hadn't even quickened. Face expressionless. No anger. No triumph. Nothing. King of cool. Security approached. Hesitant steps. McQueen looked up. Cuffs. One ran off. Came back. Held out the cuffs. Hand shaking. McQueen took them one-handed. Left hand still on Dalton's arm. And cuffed Dalton's wrists. Behind his back. Professional movement. Then stood up. Dalton lay on the floor. Cuffed. Breathing hard. Eyes showing shock. Trying to process what happened. McQueen straightened his jacket. Checked his tie. Adjusted his cuffs. Like nothing had happened. Turned to Neil. You okay? Neil nodded. Couldn't speak. McQueen walked to the table. Picked up the toppled chair. Sat Neil down. Found the one unbroken champagne bottle. Poured 2 glasses. Handed one to Neil. Our 12th anniversary. Neil laughed. From nerves. From shock.
shock, from relief. All at once, police arrived 5 minutes later. They lifted Dalton off the floor. He couldn't walk. Knees wouldn't hold. 2 officers dragged him by the arms. Detective approached McQueen. "Mr. McQueen, where did you learn these techniques?" McQueen shrugged. "From a friend. Name, Bruce Lee." Detective wrote it down. Stopped. Looked up. "Bruce Lee the actor. From Green Hornet?" "Yes." Detective asked no more questions. McQueen took Neil's hand. They walked to the door. Crowd parted. Silently. Stepped outside. Night air. Cool. Got in the car. 1968 Ford Mustang GT 390. Dark green. Engine started. Pulled onto the street. 5 minutes of silence. Neil spoke. "I didn't know this." "Know what?" "That you could fight. Really fight." McQueen didn't answer. "You could have killed him." "Yes, but you didn't. Didn't need to." Silence. Neil looked at her husband. 12 years of marriage. And tonight, for the first time, she truly saw who her husband was. Not the cowboy on screen. Real. The 200 people at the Whisky A Go-Go that night remembered different things in the years that followed. Some remembered the gunshot, that deafening blast. Some remembered McQueen's speed, movement the human eye could barely track. Some remembered Dalton on the floor, 240-pound war machine, cuffed and helpless. But they all said the same thing. What Steve McQueen did that night was more real than anything he'd done in any film. The incident never leaked to the press. McQueen made sure of that, paid the club owner for damages, asked witnesses not to talk, not a threat, a request. When Steve McQueen asked, people listened. Dalton got 18 months, assault and illegal firearm possession, Chino State Prison, served his time, got out in 1970. He was a different man when he got out. Quit drinking, attended AA meetings, found a job, warehouse worker, quiet life. In 1978, a journalist found him, writing a book about McQueen. Dug Dalton's name from old police records. They met in a bar corner. Dalton was drinking cola. 8 years sober. "Can you tell me what happened that night?" Dalton looked at his glass. "I was 240 pounds, 14 months in Korea, trained 200 soldiers in combat, knife, pistol, bare hands, and an actor put me on the ground in 15 seconds. How did that feel? Shame first. Intense shame. I was a soldier. He was an actor. How was that possible? Then, had plenty of time to think in prison, and I understood he wasn't an actor. He was real. I was the fake. All that combat experience, all that training, it was in the past, buried in alcohol. That night, I didn't fight. A drunk man fought. Did you ever talk to McQueen after? No. What would I say? I harassed your wife, pulled a gun on you, fired at you. Sorry. Some things don't have apologies. How do you feel about him now?" Dalton thought for a long time. "Respect. He could have killed me. Self-defense. Nobody would have questioned it. A drunk man with a gun, fired at him. He could have beaten me to death right there and the jury would have called it justified. But he didn't kill me. Neutralized me. Just enough. Enough so I wasn't a threat anymore. That's discipline. That's control. That's something they don't teach you in the Marines. Did that save you? Prison saved me. LA saved me. But that night showed me something. What control looks like. I was out of control. Drunk, angry, waving a gun. He was in control. Calm, calculated, just enough force. That was the difference between us." The journalist didn't put this story in his book. McQueen wouldn't allow it. Dalton died in 2003. 69 years old. Liver cancer. Legacy of all those years of drinking. 47 people at his funeral. Family. Old army buddies. His AA sponsor. And a wreath. Card had 2 letters. SM. McQueen had died in 1980. 23 years earlier. Who sent the wreath? McQueen's lawyer. It was in the will. If Frank Dalton dies, send a wreath to his funeral. Write SM. McQueen never spoke to Dalton. Never said "I forgive you." Never reached out. Never asked how he was doing. Never tried to be friends. Just did what he did that night. And 23 years later, from beyond the grave, sent a wreath. No note. No explanation. Just 2 letters. That was Steve McQueen. Didn't talk. Didn't preach. Didn't lecture. Didn't make speeches about second chances, or redemption, or forgiveness. Did. Actions, not words. And the actions spoke louder than any words ever could. And unfortunately, they don't make men like Steve McQueen anymore. Oi quaint. Disguise. This is a fictional story inspired by public legends and storytelling traditions.